Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is Dr. Rao opening my room at 6 o'clock. This is the series I was doing for a while now about spiritual quotations that really spurred me on and kind of influenced me to shape my uh, spirituality principles, thereby the perspectives, and giving us a real good uh, base on which we can proceed. Okay, so they made a difference in a short. Okay, so how did they make difference? Why they are so significant is something that I thought I will address here with these settings, right? So of late, this has become very important uh, to know to be are two different things, right? We may know so many things, but are we manifesting them? That is to be. For example, we want to say only the truth all the time, right? But then there will be circumstances, or there will be we are not paying attention, and we may want to escape the situation. So we call what's called a conveniently lying about something, right? For example, you are caught in the traffic, and then you kind of are late. Then you could say traffic, or you could say, well, my car is uh, really not working well, or something like that. Because if they say traffic, they may say, why didn't you anticipate that? Why didn't you give more time to come here so that you can cover that? So that kind of thing. Many people think lying is convenient, like is something practical and something that they will not remember that they have done it, and they will go, right? So are we living what we have learned? That's what it comes to. So that means we know stuff, but we don't manifest. We don't allow them to come into our life, right? So this is a big deal in spirituality, mainly because the people who seek spirituality are kind of either they have some inspiration or some stimulation from that life experience. Either they have experienced something sad or some health problem or all of it, or they are intensely curious about this and they want to pursue the truth and all that. Okay, many people don't bother about the truth and all. They just bother about what is convenient for them, what is going to work for them to survive and thrive, right? But real spirituality from ancient times too are those people who did not care for um, regular life or worldly life. Okay, and they were looking inside of themselves to find out the truth, and then once they discovered it, that is the knowing I'm talking about. It's not about external things, matters, and materialistic life or political life or religion or anything like that. I'm talking about that you are intensely curious, or you want to find out the truths of the life, and then you investigate into that, or you find out from what was the brains that went into this kind of came out from, right? So thereby they came to know that, oh yeah, these are the real truths, and then living them is what we call the being. Okay, uh, be in that, but the being itself could be something organically different, not our existing body and mind, but beyond that, right? That is the being I'm talking about. Just by knowing it, are you able to be in that? That's the question. Okay. So when I first heard this, knowing is being, um, lots of times it was like you got to know before you can be that, right? Uh, but the ancient philosophy said um, you have to really go through this lot of known truths because they are they are discovered or realized by people who are deeply into meditative awareness, right? So that means the cognitive thinking that we use for our ordinary problems or scientific quest and all of that, that's not the brain they're using. That's kind of quiet, but they are coming to realize these truths by their own awareness or meditative awareness, right? That's a whole different animal, really. So, granted that you knew these truths and you have really I welcome a couple of friends on the wisdom, Julie and Mary. Welcome. Nice to see you guys here. So, this is something that we found very serene, tranquil, peaceful, and joyful bliss, right? People are in touch with that. Suppose you are staring at a flower and you don't have any commentary on that. What happens? Then you will be delighted in the beauty of the flower. In that moment when you are immersed with it, you are not using your conceptual mind or cognitive mind, but just by keeping quiet and then being in touch with the beauty of the flower, you are in enjoyment, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So when you know this particular truth, that our own uh, chattering mind, or our own cognitive mind, our own conclusions, our own delusions, whatever we have found over the life period, what happens? We kind of drop them, and then that knowing is itself a being, right? So there's ancient traditions where they talked about self-realization. People who are self-realized, their saintly qualities of they are selfless to begin with, fearless to begin with, and they are very compassionate, kind, and loving to everybody because they don't have this analytical mind that kind of puts people in different categories, separates them, and all that, right? So that self-realization means realizing your true nature, and having the knowledge. Will you be able to realize this, or you are already there, so you don't need knowledge? You need to identify that, right? Then what happens? You are realized that you are that being, and you don't need knowledge for that. But then that knowing that I have to, don't have to do anything to realize, really comes through. Okay. This is profoundly influenced me, because it's not about reading books, it's not about gathering data from everybody, but it's about understanding my own mind and calming them down. And that knowing that comes out of that awareness, that itself was the being for me, right? So you are already realized yourself, but you don't know that. So you dispel your delusion, your ignorance, your unknowing, and all that. And having that kind of knowing really lands you in that being is already there. So this is a significant thing in terms of mental health, in terms of physical health, in terms of communications with other people. That means relationships, and also the community health and the planet health too. So the joy that is within you, the love that is within you, the peace that is within you, you get in touch with it, right? And then you will say, okay, I'm going to be in that. And so Merit and Julie presenting some messages to me. I would thank you, and if you want to come up and share this with me, I'll be happy. Uh, so most of the people are kind of, yeah, Julie is here. Let's see. Hey, Julie.
Hello, Doctor. How are you?
How are you? Good.
I just, so what a lovely description
Yeah.
of being that
Yes.
is. Something that you said as you were talking, and I was sitting in that moment, just being,
Yeah.
without thinking about anything particularly.
Yeah.
And then when you said, as you sit in that space,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful, peaceful space, and you go about your business during the day. You're interacting with people,
Yeah.
all with that core peace inside you, and people around you no longer become alarming for me.
Yes. Yes.
This is something I've found, but
Yeah.
it is that I no longer feel necessity
Yeah.
to be on guard or alert
Exactly.
for things like I used to be. Yeah, it's been a lovely journey, and the journey for me has been really assisted
Yeah.
by listening to people like you, with the words that you choose, and the way that you express. It's really got through the nitty gritty, so to speak. It's not being dressed up in,
Yeah.
in a hierarchy sense or anything. I think
No.
that if I met you, we would sit on a sofa and we would have conversations like this quite naturally and quite
Yeah.
pleasantly.
Yeah.
And because you've done that way, you've shown me something.
Mm-hmm.
You've shown me you've shown me it's down to my own allowance,
Yeah.
to experience this,
Mm-hmm.
and then to take the core of it with me
That's it.
everywhere I go. Yeah.
That's it. That's a word. Experience. That's
Yeah.
it. Because when you are experiencing, your other part of the mind, which is usually runs, that is quiet, because you
Yeah.
are experiencing it. And then you don't require qualities for that. You are a human being, and your being is, you are experiencing that, and in that moment you got the peace and the bliss and the happiness, everything in there.
Yeah, and the cognitive side of it is unnecessary.
Yes.
It's not something that is going to add or
Yeah.
take away from the experience. It's unnecessary. I don't need to then go out in my garden as I've done, or sit by the river like I do, and question why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
I just get to appreciate being with them in that moment and being
Yes.
able to see it, being
In
able
the
to
moment.
hear
Yeah.
it.
In the
Yeah,
moment.
and
Yeah.
experience it, totally immerse myself
Yes.
in the moment
Yes.
without the need to explain or tell,
Yeah.
or to make sense of. There's no
Mm-hmm.
need for any of that.
No.
So the cognitive side then, it
Quite.
has a rest.
Chris.
It
Yeah.
has a beautiful rest, yeah.
Yeah.
And when it has that rest
Mm-hmm.
time, that peacefulness where, thoughts just come and go
Yeah.
quietly,
Yeah.
without me attending to each one,
Yeah.
giving it kind of my attention.
Yeah.
My mind gets that rest so that there's clarity then.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do need to start being cognitive for any reason or other, there's a beautiful space for that cognition
Yeah.
to work without being cluttered.
Yeah. It can be used, cognitive mind, but don't want to
Yeah,
identify cognitive mind as us. That's the mistake we do.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, but once you know Okay, this is mind is my tool. I will use it when I need to outward things and all. But how,
Yeah,
what I
it's
have,
not me.
yeah,
It's a process.
is
It's not
yeah,
me. It's almost like saying if you're in a body
yeah,
and your body is moving, the movement is necessary to do the things you need to do.
yeah,
But you are not the movement. You
yes.
are within that.
Exactly. The body and
Yeah.
mind are the tools for the real you, which is this experiential. Um, they call this more like a first person experience that if you taste something sweet, that experiencing of the sweetness is that maybe it is carried from your sense organs, but eventually it goes to that first hand experience where I may say this is sweet, but unless you taste it, you will not feel that.
Absolutely. It might not be my sweet. That
Yeah,
might just be taking the bitter away,
yeah, yeah,
which could be, oh, totally sweet to you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
I
is
get
a
it.
very simple thing about this is um, the more you are landed in that, the more you don't need to have meditation because you are in awareness. That means you don't have
All
that
of the
movement
time.
of the, yeah, movement of thought is not there.
That is my practice,
Yeah,
Dr. Rao. That
yeah,
would be something I would enjoy.
yeah,
So
exactly,
I
exactly.
practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your experience with the plants, with the nature, with everything that's going on, you may use to describe it with the cognitive mind, conceptual mind,
Yes.
but you never undermine that experiential thing that you have experienced.
Yeah, that's right. That is my own.
Yeah.
That's not to say it would be the
Mm.
same for everybody. And I could never put
Yeah.
into words
See, what is
what
the
that is.
spiritual significance of this, Julie? What they found there was okay, we got to withdraw our senses from outward, only my mind will be still, right? And that's
Yeah.
why they understood what is the stimuli coming on, how we responding, all that matters. And then in between we know that I sense that tabulates things, whereas feels this self within, and that never changes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I talked about not long ago, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
was
So,
the recognition
yes,
that no matter how long I've been experiencing,
the same.
from a very, very kid, a very small kid,
Yeah,
to who I am now,
yes.
the being in me
Mm-hmm.
is the
Ah,
same being.
there's the
And
word, the being. Yeah.
it just blew me away when I thought about it because I
The
can
other
feel
thing,
that.
other thing,
Yeah.
other thing, truly, Julie, here it is. Uh, that particular being is only one in everybody,
Yes. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there we can accept everybody as us.
Yep. That's right. That's how I'm about my business.
Yeah, yeah. One of the
Is I'm
reasons,
meeting myself in everyone.
yeah, as a physician, what fascinated me was there was a statement I was reading. The most healthy people are those who have really realized that it's already there, the being, and they station themselves in the being and use thought in a conscious manner.
Mm.
Then you don't have this worry, anxiety, movement of thought. All those things are not that powerful. That way, your brain doesn't have to secrete all these stress hormones and all that.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When I go about my job,
Hmm.
because I work in a hospital, I'm like what they call a HCA.
Yeah.
So I can, well, in the old-fashioned days, they'd have called it an auxiliary nurse.
Mm.
So I help wash, dress, feed, keep an eye on, the general
Yeah.
health and report to my nurse.
Mm.
But I can definitely, I don't know what you think about this, but as I approach a person
Hmm.
or the being, I can feel them, not their illness, not their
Yeah.
voice, not their characteristic,
Hmm.
none of that. I can feel them. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
No, that's very true because I, as a patient, I have a choice I can employ my mind and analyze them, assess them, like a female patient from particular country, this color and all
Yeah,
that.
as a
Yeah,
body, an
yeah,
identity.
yeah. But what I do is the being in that human is
Yeah,
us. Me and that being doesn't have any difference. Okay?
that's right. Yes.
That's what you
Yeah.
are doing. That's what you are relating with the being
Yeah.
without effort.
That's it.
Without effort, because you are not putting your brain to say, oh, this particular person is this, I don't like this. None of it. What you are feeling is that being, that life within, and you are going to
Yeah.
serve that life.
Yeah.
You are helping yourself.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I can feel that as well. Some of the conversations I have with people
Yeah,
about the fact that I often say to them, especially if they're elderly, a lot of the people that I see are elderly,
yeah,
and I often say to them, say if they're feeling a bit down, they've been poorly,
yeah,
like their future is, they're nearer the end of the road, so to speak. They're expectant
yeah.
of, this kind of stuff.
See,
And
ancient
what?
wisdom taught me other thing. Where
Yeah,
does
yeah,
that
same for me.
life go? Where does the life go? I'm
Mm,
seeing the life in my patient going off. Where does it go? Does it
yeah,
go away and nothing there, or it has taken birth again?
yeah, yeah. I'm the same as you.
Yeah,
I have ideas about
yeah.
that essence
Once
in
you
me.
have that sense, this particular life force within me, that is the being, doesn't have any death. How confident
That's
you
right.
are? You are not fearful at all anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or I often say to people,
Mm.
especially if they're in relationships, and they're getting on. And, there's one particular patient was telling me how miserable he was, and what a burden he was, and he was upsetting his partner of 62 years. And I
Yeah.
said this to him, I said, is your partner your treasure?
Yeah.
Is she a treasure that you found in your experience, someone you
Yeah.
can share so much with and you care about so much? And he said, yes, she is. That was very beautifully said. And I said to him, are you her treasure?
Yeah.
And he said, yes, I am.
Mm.
And I said, well, the best thing you can do is look after yourself
Yeah.
so that she doesn't have to worry
Yeah.
about losing her treasure.
Yeah. Very true.
And
Very true.
2 days later, I was speaking to a very different man.
Yeah.
A very different. Just to think of that
Yeah.
is, instead of giving someone a loss
Uh huh.
in your depression,
Uh huh.
you know, make sure they don't lose that treasure,
Yes.
and realize that you are that treasure
Yeah.
to them.
Exactly. Exactly. See, that is the living in the present and really celebrating the life in front of us, rather than
Yes.
looking for some future change, and then we're going to give them the best at the time. You know. So that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
makes it very difficult for them to later on. You lose the time. You don't have that anymore, right? So,
Yeah. But you have now.
yes.
You
Enjoy
have
the now.
now,
Yeah.
and that
Exactly.
was, yeah,
Exactly. But
that
people
was
get
it.
caught in the past and the future, but then the living present, that's where the life is.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, and it's the bit that so often people are not living in.
Yeah,
You know. So yeah, I've got a lot to thank you for, Dr. Rao. Those
absolutely.
early conversations we've had have really
Yeah,
kind of given me some tools for my
yeah,
boss.
you are
You
using
know,
those. That's wonderful. So
yeah,
you can identify that because you are living them.
yeah, yeah, and sharing,
Yeah,
my daily thoughts
yes,
and things,
yeah.
which then is exampling them.
It's difficult to be like that, because lots of times you get all bombardment from other cognitive minds and everything. So it is
Yeah,
difficult to stay in that, you
yeah,
know.
it is. It
It,
is. But I
yeah,
will do. I
yeah.
will do.
But you know
Because
what?
it's rare, it's comfortable, it's wonderful, it's pleasant, it's blissful.
Yeah. One of the things is people don't get to enjoy that bliss. Once they get to
Yeah,
that, probably they will stay there because you have
yeah,
tasted it, and then you will be. You say, versus this chatter, you are quietness. Versus this painful remembrance or anxiety, you have the bliss. So many qualities that are not really brought out, and some of it because of the religious identification and division and all that. Basically,
yeah.
if you can live the present moment fully, completely without the mind interfering with it, then you will discover that present moment awareness filled with bliss.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Julie, for coming up and sharing with me. So, Julie is somebody who lives in the present, who lives with the beauty around her in the nature. I talked to her a couple of times before on that, and she shared her experience of going out and gardening and all that, you know. And she's very easy to talk to other people too. So,
I'm
um,
not thinking that I'm live. I'm not thinking that I'm live. I'm not gonna hang around because
so anyway, I don't know who that is. I did not bring anybody up, you know, but something is coming up. Uh, so my series of this, I was talking about some of the spiritual studies that kind of gave me this particular moments of truth that were kind of pursued, kind of investigated without accepting them as they are. That is it. You got to really allow our deeper self come in touch with the truth of the matter, and then manifest that in our life. That is the spirituality unfolding. Uh, First of all, it gives you um, fearlessness, it gives you selflessness, and it gives you the peace and bliss from which, if you want to operate, then you yourself will taste that uh, blissful awareness, and then you will be staying there. And when you want to use cognitive mind, when you want to do something meaningful, purposeful, you will do that and then dump it right after. This is something, if you master doing that on a daily basis, then you don't have to sit down and calm your mind. But if you allow the mind to go all over, not in the being, but in the mind, then you need to come down and calm it. Otherwise, you cannot get in touch with that inner being that you have. I don't think you have to belong to any religion or any country, any particular tradition. But if you understand this simple thing of being, that is the essential life force that we have, that is the one that ignites our body and mind. Then you can see body is your tool, mind is your tool, thought is your tool, and emotional intelligence also there, because you won't be driven by your likes and dislikes, but you are driven by um, your equanimous nature of that awareness in everybody, right? So once you realize that, then once you experience that, then you will not be going out of it. That itself is takes a lot of work, because many people have this continuously operating mind, going from one thought to other thought. We call this network of thought, you know. But if you know who you really are, that is the being, and then you settle down in that peaceful self. Okay, that peace itself, that is happiness itself, you know, and that is consciousness itself, right? It's a big deal. So they talked about this as what do? We kind of realize our true sense, or we feel it, like Julie was describing. She has this uh, inclination, or she has this sixth sense or awareness of her true self, right? Of her true nature. And once you know it, what do you do? Do you have to do a lot of stuff to be that being? No. The lesser you do, the more you keep your mind quiet, that is there already. So many people know about this as a theoretical or conceptual thing or some idea, but then they read it in a self-help book or somewhere, right? So many people are writing about these things, but then how are they manifesting that in their life? That's the question. Okay, that's where a lot of work is done. So if you have a glimpse of this, don't leave it alone. Go into it, find out the truth about it, work on it, and also see what are the impediments that are making you not to realize the truth. And that is divinity inside. Discover that and be that. And then how can you manifest the divinity in your real life? That's the test. That a lot of people take a lot of time for that. But anyway, my purpose here is just to share some of these things that I had the privilege and fortunate about um, getting in touch with this kind of things, and it has profound impact of how our inner life will be. So that's what I was trying to share. I hope it makes sense to you all, something that you would like to remember this, and no matter what kind of material comforts you have, no matter how much of a better life you have otherwise outwardly, inwardly, are you this kind of fearless, selfless, loving, compassionate nature, and that you can transmit to the life that you are living, either with the family or with the friends or with on a public channel like this. That will be very good. Somebody else wants to come up. Let's see. Julie wants to come up.
Just touching on what you've just said, something really important actually is something that you said that I thought about.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about, you know, knowing who I am, being comfortable with the essence that is me. I thought, did I get to this place because I've I've survived stuff and I'm on a minimal kind of budget and way of living?
Yeah.
Would I still be this person that I am now if I had everything I desired?
Hmm.
Would I still come to this point where I discover the
Yeah.
essence of me that I'm comfortable with? And I come to the conclusion that yes, I would. Because
Hmm.
no matter what I have, where I live, what I do, that essence is
Yeah.
the same one that was in the little girl that was me, that would be in the old lady on my deathbed.
Yeah.
That essence is unchanging. But
Let's
what I'm
put it this
really,
way, Julie. You
yeah,
are hungering for inner experience that is not deviated by too many materialistic things you have.
absolutely.
That
Yeah,
may be
yeah.
that may be a good thing for you in that way.
Very good.
Yeah,
It's
lot
very
of
good.
people.
It's the sort of thing that
Yeah,
when you hear of monks and yogis and
yeah,
they kind of cut themselves off from
yes,
the world and the commercialization and the business and
yeah,
the interaction, they kind of take themselves away from it, don't they, to
yeah. It's not
practice.
like this ascetic thing, sacrifice and all that. What it is
Yeah,
it's like valuing that inner experience and the losing of this external things significance in the sense because
yeah, yeah,
you are looking for external things for get you happy, but
yeah.
then you are the treasure of happiness within. Why do you go after these simple things outside?
That's exactly it. So it's practicable.
Yeah. It is important
in
to
any
be.
moment.
No,
Yeah.
actually, there is a thing I talked about one time. Why meditation is so hard in America? They may say they are having mindfulness, they may say meditation, all that. But if you ask them, do you experience silence within you? Or are you silent all the time? They find that that's very weird. But that is there. You can be completely silent and then use the thought whenever you want. Thereby you are really blessed that way, right? Now America, two things are required for this mindfulness or practice of silence, whatever it is. You need to practice first of all, because if you have developed a very very raucous mind because of the society external all over the world, right, then you will
Yes.
be noisy in the mind. But then you are noisy about things means that you have to develop a detachment attitude towards that. So
Mm.
in your case, it's naturally happened. You have less things to worry about, but then you
Yeah.
discovering something inner riches, then you don't have to worry about it. Actually, that's a blessing in disguise.
It is. It is. Yeah, it is. That's the way I think about it
Yeah.
as well. Because I think
Look at the
sometimes
mental
when
illness.
you,
Why it is so prevalent in the country is because of this extreme attachment to the material things and thinking good American life means accumulation of these things and then
yeah,
getting lost in that. Okay,
yes,
so
yeah,
there are in the ancient philosophy they have talked about what are the qualities before you attempt this inner spiritual life. And the first one they say is the discriminative quality of what is real and what is not real.
yeah,
Once you discover myself, that is that energy of the life energy that gives me a life, that gives me this conscious feeling awareness and all that, if that is permanent, it will only ditch the body and mind and go and take another body and mind, like a clothes changing the clothes. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
so develop
yeah,
that. And once you realize this is not permanent, but what I am, the being is the permanent, then next thing is you develop detachment to the things that are not permanent.
yeah,
That is second quality. Third quality is where you have some procedures to normally deliberately doing this stuff about withdrawing the senses and controlling the mind. And if you do that, and then this intense desire about inner exploration, inner quality detection, see, then you once you discover that that is you, and you realize that it is there all the time. Only thing I was covering up with my ego, with my external pursuit and all. So you have minimum to hold on to. Then you don't have to worry about so much that is going away. See,
yeah,
people are worried about
yeah.
I'm losing so much money, so the bank and there's the economy and all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't care about any of
Yeah,
that. All I care about is keeping, just kind of preserving
yeah,
um, this
yeah,
body that I'm wearing
yeah,
for a while, so I
yeah.
can experience some more stuff.
You
That's
know,
pretty much it for
one
me.
time I had this friend who is a GI doctor, and
Yeah,
whoever goes to him to see him, whatever, he will do the scopes and make a lot of money. At the time, they're paying a lot of money for the scope, right?
yeah,
So one time I sent a young girl for a colonoscopy because she has a familial pulpus history with her brother. It's a familial condition. I wanted him to look at her colon. There is no need for her upper scope to have, but he did both of them. And then I confronted him. What was the reason you have to do the upper endoscopy? You should have done only colonoscopy. He was so angry. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. Oh, I can do whatever. Then I talked to him. Do you know what is the inner riches is? He said, what? What are you talking about? And then he never experienced that inner riches are caring for the patient and thinking about her welfare, and then really helping her in her need of hour. Those are important things that are given to you as a physician to enjoy that inner blessing, right? And he never had that because he's always business, always using their bodies to make money.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah,
a clear distinction of external riches versus internal riches.
yeah.
that you have.
I know which I would prefer.
Yeah, that you have, that the inner riches you have. You can be quiet,
Yeah,
you can be in the garden, you can enjoy the presence of the beauty around you because your mind is not going all after to make money and all that. You are able to enjoy the beauty of the flowers and the grass and the nature.
yeah, and people, even
Yeah, people
people,
too. Yeah, people too.
even in the middle of the city, I
Yeah,
can go into the middle of the city and
yeah,
just not
yeah.
feel pulled by stuff.
Actually, they
Just
talked about
appreciate.
solitude of mind, Julie, and that's a function of the mind.
Mm,
If you have that, like what you're saying, you can go to the city, you will go to the busiest part. Some people, you know what they did? They tested this by going and standing in the busiest part of New York, Times Square. And
yeah,
then in Japan, it's a very, very busy street. They went and stood there and then uh, tested themselves whether their mind will be influenced by it or not. And that is called solitude of mind. It's a function of mind. Once you
yeah,
enter that, it doesn't matter what circumstances you have outward, you will be really solitude. You don't have,
yes,
you're not cut off with people, but you are not influenced by all the noise.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's my get. That's my aim to
So
test
true, so true,
that.
so true. Once you discover the solitude of mind, once you establish that, then you don't have to go to forests to meditate, mountains to meditate. You can
Yeah,
be anywhere and you can have the silence. You don't even need to meditate. It is there. Meditation is not like a first to stimulate the mind and then calm down. It's like a calming down your mind completely. You know.
it's a continual. It's a
Mm.
continual. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's good.
lovely. Thank you so much. I shall leave you now, but thanks very much, Dr. Rao.
Sure,
Really
just
massively
pleasure. It's a
appreciate it.
pleasure to talk to you. Okay. All right.
Take care.
Okay. Bye. So that was wonderful. More things that Julie is going through. Hopefully, you all will have the solitude of mind. You will all will touch the bliss that's already ours anyway. We are already blissful beings, not the chattering mind. So I hope to come back and talk to you on a different spiritual quotation that I heard that was influential on me, and I will share what it has inculcated in me and what it has resulted in that. Okay. Thank you. And I'll see you again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Bye bye.